Good evening, fellow warriors in Christ. Bishop Deron Martel alongside my brother and fellow warrior Brendan Vesey. This is Bridging the Gap, the podcast where we discuss all things spiritual, religious, paranormal, and try to, you guessed it, bridge the gap between them. We're coming to you here at Casa de Martel. Tonight being the first ever episode, we will be giving you an overview of the podcast and an introduction of ourselves and our experiences. So without further ado, again, my name is Bishop Deron Martel. I guess that's my last name. Sometimes I don't.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know sometimes. I forget that myself. Little bit about, yeah.
If my name isn't on my shirt, forget about it.
That's fine. That's most of us nowadays in 2020. What more can go wrong? I guess
do not put that out in the universe, dude.
Yeah, we're just going to go through some introductions tonight and then go through an overview of what this podcast is, why we decided to start it, where we're going to exactly go with the Society, of St. Michael and Benedict, and what the future holds for us. So basically a little bit about myself. In 2008, I was ordained a Christian bishop, non-denominational, but have since gone to more of an independent Catholic realm, not the Roman Rite, more of the independent realm. So since then, I've kind of tried to intertwine my personal faith and spirituality in Jesus Christ with the paranormal field, which both of us have been a part of for over how many years? I've been about 15 in the paranormal field. You have about 20
plus.
20 plus. So around 40 years here of collective experience. So that's just a little bit of a teaser about myself here. I've been again ordained for about 12 years, and I'm finally kind of using that ordination and my faith to in a way help others in spiritual turmoil from those darker energies that sometimes we just can't help but
seem to attract nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. So what about you, Mr. VC?
Well, I was going to make a comment real fast. You mentioned like what else could happen in 2020. Well, that's like challenging guys to say, hold my beer and watch this. So we're not doing that.
Exactly.
So as far as my background goes, well, I always like to tell people how I first got into the paranormal, or first got into it. I was 4 or 5 years old. But my family originally is from Iowa, Marion, Iowa. And I remember one day I was in my room playing, and I heard my mom's voice scream for help. So, it just came out of nowhere. But I come to my bedroom door, and I hear it again. My sister comes out of her room. She hears the same thing. So it's not just my imagination. Okay, mom needs help.
Yeah.
So we go looking for mom. Can't find her anywhere upstairs. And then we go downstairs where the laundry room is, and she was just in there folding clothes. And like, Mom, are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm fine. Did you not scream for help? No.
That's where it gets interesting.
And the fun thing, because I've always got weird vibes in the house, but I'm 4 or 5 years old, so everything's still new to me and everything. But I remember my dad. I don't know how long ago it was, but he was telling me a story where he came home from work and everybody else was out and about, whatever. He goes into his bedroom. He sees his dad standing by his bed.
He was already deceased.
Good 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
So
that's kind of like your initial. I'm kind of interested now to see how this came about and where it started from.
Right, and then when I came down to Tennessee in '86, guess which haunting or story that I was first introduced to?
The Bell Witch.
Yes, sir. So that just, of course,
it's like there. Everybody who knows Tennessee knows Adams, Tennessee, and if you know Adams, Tennessee, you know the Bell Witch.
It's a rite of passage, and I live maybe 20 minutes away from that cave now. So,
well, that's how is it not tempting every day to try to go down there and not necessarily? I was about to say stir things up. Wrong choice of words, especially if during this podcast, the last thing you want to do is stir things up nowadays.
Well, right now bills don't pay themselves.
Exactly.
Anywho.
So you were just saying the Bell Witch, though, was the first Tennessee kind of
as far as then I hear about the Chapel Hill ghost line.
Now that was something that you and I, on our very first sort of a paranormal team, that was the Middle Tennessee Paranormal Investigation.
Okay, let's time out on Chapel Hill for a second.
Okay.
Because now we were on tracks, just not on those tracks.
No, yeah.
So
Technically speaking, yes.
Darren and I met back in 2009?
Tail end of 2008, early 2009.
No, it was 2009 because I was just got back from the Navy.
Okay.
In January of 2009, so.
Shows how much I know. So.
Yeah, you know what? You're forgiven.
Well, thank you. I needed that.
Right. Now, anyways, so we met through a mutual friend, Dustin Biggs, hey brother, and it was like 15 of us heard about the South Tunnel train tracks. Now, a brief summary of South Tunnel. Back during the Civil War, it was a supply line for the Confederate Confederate Army. Wow. Anyways, the Union troops came through and blew up the tunnel.
Just to try to stop the munitions from getting by.
Exactly.
Just to cause havoc.
Right. Fast forward a couple of decades after the war, there was a story where this lady was found dead on the train tracks. Some say she was
lady in white.
Lady in white. Now, some say she was murdered and raped. Some say she was killed by a ex-lover.
It's a lot of corroborative accounts. There's also a lot of contrasting accounts about what really happened. I mean, give or take, folks, in the paranormal world, I mean, you got to take an investigator off, with a great assault in terms of their accounts, because we don't have the exact history right in front of us.
Well, and especially at the time, newbies, because
we were green at that time. We were very green,
dude. I mean, we were avid fans at best. Let's put it that way.
We'd seen Ghost Adventures, and we're like, "Ooh, let's do this. This will be fun."
Tabs was my excuse, but yeah, Ghost Adventures was definitely on the radar.
Yeah.
Anyways, just paranormal TV.
Sure.
But we eventually had dwindled down to all these experiences to a handful of us. Me, Deron, buddy Dustin, and another friend of ours. And now the way the South Tunnel is set up, there's two, there's a tunnel.
There's two different tunnels.
Right, and there's a space, a good 100 yards between the two.
Yes, and that's where we kind of posted up, I believe. We went to that first one. Now, going through those tunnels, I will say, is no picnic because you're walking pitch black in a tunnel, and CSX still runs through those tunnels. So, and there's not much, room for error in terms of space between track and wall.
Let's say our first quote-unquote initial investigation was a learning experience of what not to do at media levels.
Oh, sure, yeah. Exactly right. Now, speaking of that, we're talking about South Tunnel. Again, folks, you're going to have to bear with us, this being the first. We're trying to get all our life story as investigators boiled down into a 30-minute segment here. So, with South Tunnel, what not to do. I learned this the hard way the first time and we'll go into more podcasts about, provocation and ritualistic, I guess you can call them games at times, and things that people do just to kind of stir up quote-unquote activity. And at South Tunnel, I was new. Of course, we were green at the time in the paranormal field. So we're like, why not? Why not perform this ritual with this person? We have no idea who this is. And it ended up being a very, very very devastating mentally and a very taxing experience emotionally and spiritually. And that was my first instance of, I think I need to really rethink whether I'm doing this the right way, because it affected me so much. I mean, that's the only time in my history as an investigator or as a cleric or as anybody within the field or in the religious field or spiritual field that has happened to me, where I've been so opened and attacked like that I don't even remember the instance. I've seen it in pictures.
Right.
So, I mean, that's why I haven't returned. I will never return to South Tunnel, because I know what kind of emotionally, that taxing energy it has. I don't feel like I need to be back there.
Well, the thing is, we know it's haunted. We have our evidence. We did our time. So it's like, why keep going back? Exactly. Plus, like for me, I won't go back because I give my word to the spirit. Like, after I got what the proof or stuff I need, I won't come back, and I got what I need and haven't come back. Yeah,
and that's that's with a lot of places people investigate. I see a lot of teams, and this is kind of segueing, but this goes back into our experiences and how we got a part of this. But I see a lot of teams nowadays who just go to the same location, over and over and over and over and over again. And at one point, are you like, have we worn out our welcome here?
Right.
Spiritually,
on all levels, for that matter.
That's kind of a good thing to kind of branch out at times.
You have to. I mean, Shameless plug, Octagon Hall. Mm-hmm. Billy, Bear, love them. Great people,
yes,
absolutely,
and they're very knowledgeable in what they do in the paranormal, not just the paranormal field, but just the supernatural in general. I mean, if you want, good knowledge and good advice from people who have been in the field, who are veterans, who know exactly what they're talking about, it's those men right there.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, like for me, the hall is a 45-minute drive down the road, so I go down there every now and then just to hang out. I mean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's but that's one of those locations that I don't feel gets old when it comes to the paranormal and spirituality. There's always something new I've found at the hall.
Well, that's the thing. If you talk to Bear, I mean, yes, that's how it goes, but there's sightings of Bigfoot, UFOs.
Yeah. It's in a very, very active area, not just paranormally.
Well, they say that a major ley line crosses that area. And for those who not understanding, what ley lines are, it's basically strips of magnetic energy that wraps around our globe. Mm-hmm. And of course, anybody who studied any type of science, energy does not break down; it just changes from one state to another.
Exactly.
And that's basically what we're, the spirits feed off energy, and we're made of energy. So there's that.
So. In discussing these spiritual experiences we've had as investigators and Christians, there's been a lot of different instances where I feel like both of us not exactly have been attacked, but we've felt definitely energies where we've had to defend ourselves from and put on that full armor of God.
Oh, God, yeah.
And see, that's one thing, folks, that a lot of people don't understand in the paranormal field. I mean, you'll see time and again investigators go on TV and proclaiming, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave. That right there, sometimes it really hurts my heart because these investigators don't exactly believe what they're saying.
I'm trying to keep it PG. Yeah. Recording here, brother.
They don't exactly believe what they're saying. It's just words.
They don't.
So that defense really is going to be kind of null and void because in order for you to have that full armor in that defense, you have to believe heart, mind, body, and soul that you have this full armor of Jesus Christ on that He is going to defend.
Bottom line, if you don't have faith, you don't have protection. End of story.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of, again, segueing, but that's for another podcast.
Oh, yeah, we have plenty of topics coming up, ladies and gentlemen.
You and I have done plenty of blessings and cleansings and exorcisms.
Yes, we have.
And unfortunately, again, exorcisms they're nothing that we ever like doing. They're just, sometimes, especially you want to help anybody in spiritual peril and turmoil, they can be just as draining for the demonologist and exorcist as it is for the victim as the host of the parasite demon.
Well, here's my thing about exorcisms. Yes, it is a thing. Yes, people need them. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, we have also come across on the other side of the spectrum where people need some kind of medical...
Oh, of course.
Interference, whether it be medicine, treatment, something.
That's unfortunately you see time and again. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you see time and again where a lot of these spiritual attacks, like you were saying, are medical. Whether it's a sad depression, unfortunately, or something of a sort of a medical sickness. Now, in terms of the Roman rite and the Roman ritual of the Catholic Church, again, you're talking to an independent bishop, so I mean, I do still use part of the Roman rite.
Well, you came from somewhere, so I mean,
yeah, exactly. And there are 3 different types, and there's actually more, but the 3 main types of kind of red flags you have to look for possessions are ability to predict future events, speaking in strange tongues, and at the same time, feats of superhuman strength. Right. I mean, and a lot of these times, I mean, you really have to look at these and say, is this really something that can be qualified as demonic, or is this something that can be handled via a medical field?
Well, remember, anyone who studies theology, demonology, ologies, whatever, demons were once angels. Am I correct?
Exactly right. Yeah.
So these still, I mean, even though they have fallen, they're not in the grace of God no more. They still have. I mean, unless I misread something or I forgot something, they still have those abilities to, to your predicted future and so forth.
Exactly. So, and like one of the things I think we've agreed on and discussed before as demonologists is that even the darkest energies can hide in the lightest forms too, and that's something again we'll get into more. Again, we keep going off topic and overboard, but it's all right. This is what this is all about. This first initial podcast episode of Bridging the Gap. So we're going to take a quick break right now. We'll be right back with you all. This is Brother Brendan Vesey here, my brother in spiritual warfare soldier right here. I'm Bishop Deron. We'll be right back with you with Bridging the Gap.
Music Bay Preview.
And we're back here on Bridging the Gap. This is Bishop Deron Martel alongside my brother and fellow spiritual warrior Brendan Vesey.
Yay.
We're also, let me just say, we're also joined by the king of the castle here, my son Gabriel, 3 months old, and he's being quiet. This is great.
Let's not jinx it.
Say hey, buddy. And he's just going to stare at the fireplace right now. That's fine, though. That's fine. So what we were talking about before is pretty much our experiences as investigators and as Christians and how we kind of intermingled and intertwined those into the paranormal field. So let's keep going on that right now. Again, we were just kind of ending on, we've had a lot of experiences as,
individuals,
demonologists, cleansers, blessers, that, have kind of been rough at the same time they're rewarding. And I say rewarding because educational too, but rewarding because, and again, forgive us if you hear my little baby son over here, but they're rewarding because when you get to help somebody spiritually and you can see that dark energy and that cloud lift off of them, it's a fantastic feeling because you're doing it for the right reason in the name of Jesus Christ, and you know that now this person's at such peace because of the power that Christ has sent down. It's also educational because every single case is different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no mirror image case over here. So being able to go to different families, different situations and scenarios and seeing how you can help somebody else in a different light than you did the last time is absolutely amazing. So with that said, in terms of your, I guess, not really favorite, but one of your most memorable experiences from the spiritual side of the field we're in, what's one of the ones you remember the most?
That's actually a good question.
Was it a recent time or?
I think the one that popped in my head. I'm trying to remember I know it was one of the times you and I think it's our first or second group went to Thomas House Hotel.
Yes, I remember that.
And across the street was this old abandoned church. Now, a quick history on this church.
It's the Cloyd Church in Red Boiling Springs.
Yes, sir. When was it the 20s or 30s that the last...
I believe the 20s. And that's when the last... the Cloyd, Sarah Cloyd's the daughter at Thomas House who resides there. Not resides, but spiritually resides.
Right. But anyways, so there's a story. where the pastor was scheming money from the church, got caught, and supposedly hung himself in, was it the pulpit or?
I believe near the pulpit. But isn't one of the names that I believe a previous group had gone in there, they heard, either on a spirit box or an EVP session.
It was spirit box.
Yeah, that said, it said money laundering.
Yeah. That was it. So, it was just I think it was the second time. Yeah, it was the second time we were there. We were in there pitch black, no equipment, no camera. It was just the 5 or 6 of us in a pitch black room, and whatever was in there was messing with us. Something grabbed my shoulder. A friend of ours who hates having his head touched.
He will remain nameless.
Right. Well, basically, the spirit was like poking around his head. You know, the hair was moving. Like he was getting angry at this thing.
See, and I can preface that with saying, you know, sometimes you can tell when an investigator is kind of giving you the business in terms of if they're kind of exaggerating what's going on, but I can tell, knowing this particular investigator like I do, that was not fake. I mean, he was definitely showing some real emotional intensity there.
I mean, that's all that was.
But is that the same investigation, though, where we saw basically in the center of the church, like in front of the pulpit, that mist just materialized from the floor up, just this dark, even in a pitch black room, you could see this dark mist just materialize from the ground up.
That also, we had this kid, well, not kid, he's 21, 22 at the time, with us. He went with us on like 3 or 4 different cases, and in 3 or 4 different cases, he got attached 3 or 4 different times. I mean, he was a wide open individual.
Same investigator that got scratched as soon as we walked in Thomas' house.
Did he get? Oh, no,
not him. Okay.
Not
We're trying to refrain from actually saying the names of the investigators for their own privacy and you know, for...
So we don't get chewed out later.
Exactly.
So, anyway, but he was basically, I remember, I had this on video, he was walking towards the front, the door of the church, and we're like, you know, trying to say his name. He was just kept on walking. Totally.
I remember that. I remember that completely. And see, those experiences where, you know, I'm with you right there, you don't really ever forget them either.
Right. Now, speaking of the same church, I went there, I was a part of 4 or 5 different teams. I'll explain all that later, maybe. Anyways, so I'm in, there's basically 2 main rooms of this church. You got the main pulpit area, or those old... sermon area.
Yeah.
Then you have the side room for like a
it's
event.
Almost like a rectory for the pastor who had lived there.
Right. So now keep in mind, right now this church is under renovations, but for years it was you know, wasting away. I mean, floors were creaking in, and they have a bunch of antiques in there from the hotel.
Yeah.
So we were in that. I was in a side room. I was having some college kids walking with me because they want to do a documentary, and I told them I was doing this investigation, and they want to tag along. All right, fine. So I'm in there with these 2 college kids, and I'm just doing a pan with my night vision camera, and on the far wall, this black hooded figure appeared and glided along the wall.
Yeah.
I was like, holy bleep.
Just like a shadow figure.
Was
it peripheral, or was it just a naked eye just seeing...
Well, not my naked eye, but on the camera.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I thought it could have been a car driving by, but I checked out the yard. There's absolutely nothing in that yard.
No lights that could have penetrated the door.
To come out and saw anything, so no shadow. And... I tried to debunk it because it wasn't the 2 guys, because if their camera was giving off a light, my shadow would have been seen on the wall the whole time.
Yeah.
You don't see my shadow.
At all.
So...
That's memorable. I would say that counts as memorable.
Oh, dude, I was like...
No, I'll tell you, just a personal experience for me is basically on one of our most recent... Not, I guess you can say, cleansings of a property. And minor exorcism is, well, of course, we're not going to say the name of the family on air, but just the experience of dealing with this young man and this turmoil he was in, this turbulence and disorientation spiritually that he was in, and while going through the Roman rite of minor exorcism and the laying on of hands and the blessing with oil and water, the heat that I could feel emanating from where my hand was on his forehead through my entire arm. That's the first time during any sort of exorcism rite or cleansing rite where I felt my entire body as I was praying in both Latin and English the prayers of the Roman rite.
He was definitely showing some oppressed.
I mean, because it wasn't even like hot in the house. It was more towards, still about 50, 60 degrees outside. So this man was profusely sweating. He was just shaky at the sun, and that's what you can tell. Again, folks, forgive. That's my son making those noises. But it's just shaky, and you can tell when you keep agitating this demonic presence, it wants to make its way out, because that's the key role of the exorcist at that point is to make sure you're ready for spiritual battle, and you keep pressing, you keep being perseverant and pressing, because that is how you basically beat this entity. And that was what was happening with this gentleman, and the poor guy, unfortunately, he didn't know what was going on. And you felt so bad for him, just seeing him just sit there and sweating and shaking and looking up. He looked me dead in the eyes, and at that point I could just... my heart broke for him, but as I'm praying this, I'm feeling this entire warmth go through my entire body. And it wasn't one of those kind of, maybe I need to take a step back. It was one of those powerful strength. You keep praying there, and I'm right here. You keep praying.
And that's that Michael coming through.
Yes, and that's where the society, the invocation and the intercession of Blessed Saint Michael and Benedict.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that particular case, because initially I got that call a year or so prior, and I went out to do an initial suite, and they give me the background, the story, and everything. And basically, this is an old family home they want to try to renovate, so the son can move in and everything. So I get out there, talk to the family. It was the son, the mother, I think, girlfriend and sister were there, not the same people, but it just anyways,
so it was basically a property they weren't living in, though.
No, but the family owned it, though.
Yeah.
But anyways, I went in there with some sage, holy water.
I remember I incensed.
Right. Well, it was before that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about previous.
Right.
Sorry.
So I went in there, and this is why I know I was on my right path. And because I thought I had enough water, I had enough to do like part of the cleansing, and I was like, I was kind of panicking because I needed water to finish the job. And then something told me to look at the counter. I look at the counter, and there's this big jug of Hawaiian punch filled with tap water.
Yeah.
So I was able to put some salt in there, do the blessing, and pray over it.
Definitely.
And then also on the counter, this place is has that's sealed properly.
Yeah.
I saw a brown feather on the counter.
A brown feather.
A brown feather, which is also a good sign.
This entire experience goes to just to show there are some blessings and cleansings where you can go to, and you automatically know in your heart and mind that this person needs help. It's not one of those, are they just kind of faking this, or is this... I mean, you never want to be able to sit there and say, okay, this person's
You can't really
faking,
judge, but at the same time, you got to protect yourself.
Yeah, you have to protect yourself and the people around you as well.
Right.
There's been several instances and different investigations and cleansings we've gone on to where when you're saying your prayers and you're trying to invoke the Holy Spirit and help the person in need, the people around aren't even participating, and in that way they're leaving themselves open, because as soon as that parasite leaves that particular host, the first thing it wants to do is find a new host.
That's what it does. A parasite, that's by definition what a parasite does.
Yeah.
So... so that told me I was definitely had some reinforcements on the other side to help with this cleansing. But the thing that kind of tweaked me about that was that I told him, okay, this is what you do to cleanse your body, cleanse the home, because if you like anything else, it needs to be maintained. Yeah. If you don't do maintenance, it's going to fall apart again.
Exactly.
And that's where we had to come back out, because did not heed to what I said in the first place.
I hate using this analogy, but it's like an automobile. If you don't change the oil, if you don't keep your belts intact, that car is going to go kaput. So if you've been cleansed, either self-cleansing or cleansing with the help of a spiritual aid, and you don't keep up that armor and that shield and that defense, you're asking for trouble for the most part, because all you're doing is letting that kind of just evaporate, and then you're back to square one as it is. But I mean, this is good that we're using this first podcast and episode to really kind of go through our favorite experiences, because we'll be able to use those in the future. When we have guests on the show, as well as when we're discussing certain topics, we can go back to these and kind of like use the examples. Of what we've been discussing here. So we're about to take another quick break here, but when we come back in our final segment, we're going to be discussing how we came to start the Society of St. Michael and Benedict, where we're wanting to go with the society, and then discuss a little bit briefly of our topic next week, which is going to be a two-parter. You're going to want to tune in because it's going to be fun. Because you're going to hear both of us probably break red, because these are things that can... They can make anybody just want to pull their hair out as an investigator, not only watching the TV and seeing people do this, but when your own teammates do it, and other teams that the people on the teams do it as well.
Two things. Number one, I would not promise to keep it PG. Number two, your son is staring at you.
Exactly. Hey, you have to promise to keep it PG, because not only is my son's here staring at me, we got the big guy upstairs that is staring at us. So I'm not going down. I'm taking the fall for you on this one.
You can fall just fine by yourself there, Paco.
I can barely walk as it is. This is Bridging the Gap. We'll be right back with you. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Bridging the Gap here at Casa de Martel. This is Bishop Deron Martel alongside fellow brother and spiritual warrior, Mr. Brendan Vesey. Here we are in our final segment of our first show tonight, our first episode, and I think it's gone very well. Do you think so?
Decent.
Decent. Way to be positive about it.
I am being positive. No,
you are.
It's going great. I'm enjoying myself. So.
Good. Me too. And I think Gabriel, my son's enjoying himself.
I don't think Gabe can care less.
No, he's staring at the fan as we speak. He keeps staring at different objects, which is fine. Good smile, though. Beautiful smile on that boy.
Oh, hey.
So, our last segment, how did we come to start the Society of St. Michael and Benedict? So, I'll take the first reins on this one. You got your hand raised. I'm going to make you keep your hand raised on this one. So, basically, both of us kind of came together and just, we decided after a few years that we wanted to look at the lighter side of the supernatural.
Right.
There is so much, attention given to the darkness and to demonic energy, into dark places, and quote-unquote ghosts, and residual and intelligent energy. And that's understandable, and that's a field that has been focused on so much. It's almost focused itself into just being kind of, in my mind, a little bit dull at times. So, exactly, son. But in my mind, and you help convince me of this, is why not look at the lighter side, like when it comes to the religious aspect, like in terms of the Catholicism, like Marian apparitions, the mysteries, the secrets of Fatima.
That's the thing. Like my background, because I was raised Lutheran for a while, and then my family and I just stopped going to church, and then when I went to the Navy, to put it, bluntly, I gave God the finger. I'm not happy about it, not proud of it, but I was being selfish because I thought this is what I wanted, but I was getting what I wanted.
But you're a human, and humanistically, you can't fault yourself.
But in hindsight, he was sparing me from a lot of pain. In hindsight, But, and maybe another time I'll explain what got me my faith back around.
That would be a good, podcast episode. Is what got us back into faith, and what really solidified our faith. That'd be.
But with basically get back to how we found the society. I was getting burnt out towards with the last team. Just a lot of personal stuff going on with the team and my personal life. And I was just like, I don't know if I was, if I'm in, if I'm out. And then I was in my room and the Holy Spirit told me, why not angels?
I mean, just that simple. Sometimes the message from God is that simple. Why not angels? I mean, and it makes you think. It makes you think so much.
And that's the thing, because all you hear is, I don't care if it's a ghost show or a documentary. You hear, the devil, demons, darkness, evil spirits.
We've heard this is the darkest energy in the entire United States, and we're here tonight to investigate.
And it's like, that's all you see from every investigator.
It's stale.
Now, look. First of all, I have nothing but love and respect for my fellow.
Sure.
I mean,
likewise. Yeah.
And that's that's the thing. God bless. But you know what? There's so much more to the supernatural than just darkness.
Exactly.
And I got my evidence of the darkness. I've seen the darkness. I've been scratched. I've dealt with weird smells.
We've been there, done that for a better term.
So I basically if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna serve the Lord. Do what I can to help people, cleanse activity. And
many would be surprised. I mean, you see you go on Google and search, of course, the paranormal, dark energy, ghost caught on tape, blase. Right. But if you search for Marian apparitions or sightings of angels, in that realm, you get just as much evidence and just as much experience. Yeah, exactly. From that realm as well.
But the problem is, with chasing the light, it's not exciting. Well,
for us it is. Dude, it's exciting, and I hate using this because, seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. So, that's what unfortunately a lot of people think with the light is like, oh well, it doesn't seem exciting until you actually do it. Which, unfortunately, and I hate saying this as well, is what the Christian faith has become in modern times. Well, it's not exciting unless you're a part of it. It should be exciting straight from the get-go. The belief in Christ should be exciting straight from...
Well, see, that'd be a three-parter.
Yes, that'll be a three-parter there.
But yeah, it's just like, that's why I reach out to you, say, hey, dude, if you're going to do this, let's flip the script on this, because...
And that intrigued me when you actually reached out like that, because it was something I had never even thought of before. And then I was like, he's on to something, because this has never been done. You'll see and hear podcasts, so many podcasts and videos and documentaries, like you were saying earlier,
right,
that just deals with the paranormal and dark energy. I have rarely, if ever, heard of a podcast or documentary. Well, of course, documentaries on like the Shroud of Turin,
right,
and the mysteries, the Secrets of Fatima.
I can never read that one in my life. But
yes, those are a podcast in of themselves again. But you rarely see that kind of experience and that kind of attention given to the lighter side of the supernatural.
And it's just from my own personal times where I've had miracles. Like I'll give a brief one. I was in San Diego.
Yeah.
Back when I was in the Navy. And I was in the trolley, going back to the ship, and this, listen to my headphones, mind my business, and this random black guy walks out to me smiling, just wants to shake my hand.
Yeah.
He's like, "Sir, I just want to shake your hand because you just have amazing energy."
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah.
It's phenomenal to me, but when he did that, I was like, thank you. Great.
Right, at first you're kind of taken aback.
Right. But he saw something that I didn't when I was still in my darker days.
Yeah.
So that's kind of way of God's giving me a wink. Hey, dude, don't give up. Just hang in there.
It's always surprising and very heartwarming at the same time. It's kind of weird to see how God works in terms of getting the message across. Sometimes he has the baby shake you. Sometimes he gives you the most, quiet, subtle messages, but his words in those messages are so powerful once you actually get what he's saying.
I remember one time, this is kind of off the subject a bit, Deron and I used to work for a haunted house in Galveston called Bloody Acres.
Yes.
Now, one day I was out there helping get things set up for the upcoming haunted house season.
It's kind of a tradition for everyone to kind of go over there and work. And
hi, Mama Rita. Yeah. Hi, Jimmy.
Hello, everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So, my truck got stuck in mud. And luckily my windows was rolled all the way down. But I was getting mad. Oh, I was raging mad.
Yeah.
I get out of my truck, slam the door.
The glass.
Inside shattered.
Oh, jeez.
All I hear was God go, so, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah. He wanted to try getting angry again.
I was like, touche.
He's like, patience, my son, is a virtue. But we all have to learn that kind of patience. Though. But hey, I've never broken my car window, but I've been angry like that before. I guess I can say.
Yeah.
But with the society and everything, we're also again, as it goes back to the first part of this episode, the series, is we have this heartwarming and this love for wanting to help people in need, spiritual need, and so in the title of the podcast, Bridging the Gap. We're trying to bridge the gap between the paranormal world and bringing more of that spirituality and that Christian hope and faith and healing into that paranormal field. Because a lot of the times, paranormal investigators don't exactly get what quote-unquote exorcists and demonologists and Christian ministers have to bring to the table. And on the same token, Christian ministers and demonologists and exorcists don't exactly get what paranormal investigators have to bring to the table.
No.
So with the society, we're here to help anybody who is in need spiritually. I mean, and this is so much to the fact that even on our social media page, if you have a spiritual issue, by all means contact us. We're always open.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. And this is like, we don't get paid. We don't want to get paid. This is all for the love of God. This is all for the grace of God.
I mean, like me, one of my main creeds in my life is don't tell me, show me.
Exactly.
And that's in every aspect of my life. I don't tell people I love them. I show them. Mm-hmm. And what we do is a way to show people, hey, what, we're here for you. What do you need?
And show them the mercy and the kindness that God has for their lives. You may be so troubled in your life, if you're listening out there, and you may have so much on your mind, but from the ministry we're trying to give to you all, and even ourselves, we're trying to show that mercy.
Here's the thing. What was the I'm stuttering. The number one rule God had for us?
It's the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. That's a paraphrase.
Well, love each other as you love yourself.
Unfortunately, in 2020, we rarely see that with everything that's going on. But I mean, and that's something we really can't really get into too much. But yeah, it's that golden rule. But we want to show through our ministry, through the healing and the spiritual turmoil, we want to show that same type of rule. So that's basically what the society is about, and it's about the ecumenical fashion of bringing all denominations of Christianity, Catholic, Protestant, together, because we have that one common theme, that one common truth is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Because without that resurrection, we don't have Christianity. And then where are we at that point?
Right.
Now we are all caught up in materialistic, I feel, differences. Catholics, have their traditions and materialistic ideals. Same thing with Protestants. Everyone has differences that they would rather concentrate on rather than that one common theme and truth of the resurrection. That's what we're trying to do here, is have that ecumenical kind of bond. So, and as the word says, when two or more gathered, I am in the midst of them and I will bless them. Right. So when you have that many ministers from all realms of Christianity together, imagine the power of Christ coming down like during during Pentecost, the tongues of fire that the Lord sent upon the apostles after the ascension of Jesus.
For me, the best example I can think of, like right off the bat, is how this nation was for a brief period of time after 9/11. I mean,
togetherness.
Right. I mean, because it took something that horrible, for us to come together, even for a short while. I mean, it's black, white, gay, straight, all that was out the window.
It's a sad truth that it took that much, but at the same time, you've never seen that much camaraderie, companionship, and patriotism. Not only patriotism, but collective hope and faith and belief in Jesus Christ. And you see everywhere. You saw everywhere after 9/11.
Right.
It goes off what you're saying of Lord help us, God help us,
and how quick we haven't gotten that.
Yeah,
and that's the sad part.
It's the difference is people, like we were saying, concentrate so hard on those differences when in reality just remember that one eternal truth of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Going with that, I mean, where are we wanting to go with the society? We want to help. That is the case in point. We want to help, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be paranormal.
No, just come hang out with us, talk. Yeah. I mean,
if you're feeling any sort of turbulence or kind of spiritual just anguish in your life, we're here for that because we felt it before. We're human.
Right.
We're sinners. We're all sinners. There's nobody who is more perfect than anybody else in this room, outside in the world. We're all, in the eyes of God, we're all worthy to share in that eternal glory, in that kingdom. And that's where that collectiveness comes in. Because we all can agree. We can commiserate on the bad times. We can celebrate the good times together and help through that. And that's where we're wanting to go with the society. And if it leads to us being called by paranormal teams to help and bless, then that's where it leads to. But we are so much more open, I feel, than just that realm there.
Right.
So before we go, we may go a little over today, but that's fine. It's our introductory show. And as you've heard in the background, my son is trying to give his opinions. Exactly. Yes, sir. Next week, it's going to start a 2-part series on, guess what, folks? Provocation in the paranormal field and why it is more dangerous than most people think. And this is, for lack of a better phrase, this is something that gets my dander up. Is when people do certain things. We're not going to get into them now because we have to cut the time here soon. But there are certain things you'll see on these quote-unquote popular TV shows, and you see other investigators try to mimic it, and it's just something you scratch your head at. And you know those times when you're embarrassed for someone, and you can't, it's so embarrassing you can't turn away, and they're sitting here, I've literally seen people saying, I see you, demon, and you're gone. And you can just tell, they're like, does this person know what a demon is?
No, I love it when they're out there, come face me!
Yeah. See, we're already getting into it. We can't right now, but I understand. It's chomping at the bit for next week. Now we have a lot to talk about next week. That's why it's a 2-part series on provocation in the paranormal field and why it is more dangerous than most people think and why you need to be careful and just plain not do it. Just don't do it.
Just say no.
Remember, these energies, they
don't care what you think, say, or do.
Exactly. See, now I'm getting flustered.
He will make your life miserable with a smile on their face.
Exactly. And see, I can't even get words out. I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for next week. But, folks, it's been a pleasure. Let me go ahead and just thank you all so much for listening to our very first episode of Bridging the Gap. Next week, we're going to try to have a little bit better audio. Exactly, Gabriel. Exactly. We're going to try to have a little bit better audio, and we're going to come to you next week, same time, same bat channel, for Mr. Brendan Vesey, fellow spiritual warrior and brother. I am Bishop Deron Martel. Again, this is Bridging the Gap. Bless you all in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Praise be to Him and everything that goes on in life. Exactly. And let's have a wonderful week. Thank you all so much and have a great night.